When people talk about Japanese education, there is a phrase you may hear. Japanese universities are hard to enter, but relatively easy to graduate from. Of course, this is not true for every university or every student. In medical schools, science programs, and highly specialized fields, students still need to study very hard after entering university. But as a general image, university entrance exams have long been seen as one of the biggest challenges in Japanese life. Students study for many years through elementary school, junior high school, and high school. Especially if they want to enter the famous university, regular school is often not enough. Many students also go to juku, private after-school study schools, or preps schools. And finally, they enter university. Then the atmosphere changes a little. In Canada or the United States, university students usually have a lot of reading, essays, presentations, and exams. They need to study very seriously after entering the university. But in Japan, at least in the traditional image, the real competition happens before entering university. After entering, students often feel a little more freedom. Club activities, part-time jobs, time with friends, and job hunting. For many people, university has been seen not only as a place for academic study, but also as the last period of freedom before entering society. In other words, in Japanese education, the content of university education itself has not always been the most important thing. For a long time, the bigger question was, which university did you get into? So why has entering universities been so important in Japan? One big reason is employment. Japan has a unique system of mass hiring new graduates. Many university students apply for jobs around the same time, before they graduate. Companies hire young people with little work experience, and they train them after they enter the company. In this system, companies has often looked not only at skills or work experience, but also at the university name, personality, cooperation skills, and the future potential. Especially in large companies, banks, trading companies, and government offices, graduates from famous universities have often had an advantage. So in Japan, university was not only a place to study. It was also seen as a kind of passport to a good company. In the past, personal connections were also important in Japanese society. Connections between seniors and juniors and the university alumni networks could sometimes affect opportunities. In some cases, personal connections could also help someone get a job. But we need to be careful here. This does not mean that all jobs in Japan are decided by connections. Many students take normal tests and interviews. However, university name and human networks could sometimes influence opportunities. For example, if many graduates from one university already worked at a company, students from that university might feel more welcome there. So Japanese university entrance exams were not only a competition for academic study, they were also connected to future jobs, income, and social trust. That is why parents and children often became very serious about education. If you enter a good university, you can enter a good company. If you enter a good company, your life will be stable. For a long time, this was the classic Japanese model of success. Japanese school education has a very strong characteristic. It focuses on building basic skills and on remembering things accurately. In elementary school, children write Japanese characters again and again to memorize them. In math, they memorize the multiplication table by saying it out loud. In social studies, they remember place names, historical events, and important years. In science, they learn terms and formulas. From a foreign point of view, Japanese education may seem to include a lot of memorization. But there is also a historical reason for this. After World War II, Japan needed to rebuild the whole country. For that, many people needed to learn reading, writing, calculation, and basic knowledge. During the period of rapid economic growth, Japan also needed people who could work accurately, follow rules, and cooperate in groups. So, memorization based education was not simply an old fashioned method, it was also an effective system that supported Japanese society. Japanese schools also teach more than academic subjects. Students clean their classroom, serve school lunch, take classroom roles, and learn group behavior. This is also a form of education. Children learn how to play their role in society. But there are also problems. When education focuses too much on correct answers, students may not have enough chance to develop their own opinions, ask questions, or think about problems with no clear answer. Japanese education is gradually changing today. From now on, memorizing knowledge will still be important, but the ability to think for yourself and express your ideas in your own words will become even more important. When we talk about Japanese high school education, we cannot avoid university entrance exams. Of course, not all high school students go to university. Some go to vocational schools, some start working, and some choose different paths. But in famous academic high schools, one of the biggest goals is often this: how many students can enter good universities? In Japan, there are high schools that strongly focus on university entrance exams. These schools place a lot of importance on sending students to good universities. At these schools, the value of the school is sometimes judged by how many students enter famous universities. You can often see university entrance results in school brochures. For foreigners, this may seem a little strange. The school is not judged only by the quality of its own education. It's also judged by which universities its students can enter. Because of this, high school study often becomes less about intellectual curiosity and more about passing entrance exams. Students solve past exams questions. They study exam patterns. They take practice tests. They check their chances of entering their target universities. In this way, education becomes very strategic. So, for many Japanese students, high school life is not only youth, friendship, and memories. It is also a big game called university entrance exams. So, does this old education model still continue in Japan today? The answer is yes and no. Some parts still continue, and some parts are changing. The strengths of Japanese education are basic skills, patience, accuracy, and the ability to work hard in a group. As a system for raising many people to a certain level, it worked very well. But there are also weaknesses. Students may not always develop enough ability to have their own opinions, challenge without fear of failure, or face problems with no clear answer. In the coming era, Japan may need more change. Entering the famous university still has a meaning in Japan. In job hunting, university name does not mean everything, but we cannot say it has no influence at all. However, society is changing. Changing jobs, freelancing, working overseas, and starting a business are becoming more common. Also, in the age of AI, simply memorizing information is no longer enough. How should education change? This is a big question for Japan today. From the ability to remember answers to the ability to create new answers, Japanese education is changing. But there is still change. As long as entrance exams remain important, schools or students easily return to test preparation. This is the difficulty of Japanese education. How can Japan keep the good parts of its traditional education while creating a new education system for a new era? This balance will become more and more important for Japanese education. Today's Japanese phrase is 難しいです. That means it's difficult. 難しい is difficult. Pronounce a little difficult, right? But sometimes that's a useful phrase. So let's try. Okay, let's practice and repeat after me. 難しいです. 難しいです. That's great! After understanding this, do you want to go to study in Japan? Okay. See you next time. Bye!